Hi, my name is Jason Parsons, and I'm a certified peer support specialist. For those you don't know what that means, if you're familiar with what an AA sponsor is, I'm I'm professionally trained to provide that type of support to individuals I have a shared life experience with, which would include those who have been diagnosed with autism, who've gone through adoption, preteen suicidal idolization, and a bunch of other things I could throw in there. And today I'm accompanied by my friend Zach. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Zach. I am a autistic, on the spectrum individual. I sit on the edge of neurotypical, and I am a parent of a 10-year-old who has an individual education plan in the Paradise Valley School District and has some attention issues that he's exhibited in school. And so so anyway, he does have an individual education plan with the Paradise Valley School District, and I've been coming to peer support and I'm also a health assistant facilitator for Jason Bunn Parsons peer support, and I've been going there for about 4 years. Um, and so I will hand it off back over to you, Jason.
Okay, so the main purpose of this video is to address issues with the Phoenix Elementary School governing board. Okay, and although I have my own personal issues, that there are also issues that should be of concern to literally every taxpayer. Um, yeah, even if you don't even have children to go to Phoenix Elementary School District, but as far as you know um, the as far as the corruption, not only of this governing board, but also of several other governing boards, yeah, in the state of Arizona. Um, okay, is that Arizona superintendent, uh, sorry, Arizona school districts pay big money for superintendent early dismissals. And so this article, talks about how our now former superintendent, I apologize for not being able to pronounce her name. Let's see here. If I can scroll. Um, okay, yeah. IBI. Would you like to take a shot at pronouncing her name, Zach? But anyway, so yeah, so she was dismissed this last November, and it's so that they're going to have to pay out more than $330,000, and according to this article, she's not the only one. It shows 6 other superintendents who have also been dismissed without any explanation as to why they're being dismissed. Okay, in Apache Junction, 90 that they're going to have to pay only 96,000 to get rid of that their former superintendent. Casa Grande Union High School District, $358,000. Dysart Unified School District, $312,000. Okay, and so here, we're talking about how there's not enough money for education, and here these governing boards are literally wasting money by dismissing these individuals without any explanation as to why this is happening. And so Zach, would you like to chime in about how you feel, as a taxpayer and as a parent whose child is in a Arizona school that's that you see this trend happening?
Yeah, I would say that I'm kind of annoyed and I kind of, I mean, on one level, I would feel very angry at, a bunch of elected board members making these decisions and depriving their school of money that there is, of money that could be used in the classroom. And by dismissing superintendents, they're making less money, I would think, unless it's a separate, unless it's a different funding, accounting type of thing. But yeah, I would feel I would feel very angry that they're doing this, and what would be the reasons why they're dismissing, superintendents across, Arizona, and more specifically across Maricopa County, um, and wondering why schools are so strapped for money, you know, is because is this one reason of possibly many in
Mm-hmm.
which they're not, funding wise, there's not a decent allocation of funds.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. And
but I'll
so
let it.
yeah, so as far as the justification that these school boards are using for why they're why they're not giving any explanation, like, oh well, that it's our standard practice not to disclose why employees of the school district are dismissed. It's like, okay, I understand that. So, as far as the justification that these governing board members have given for why they won't explain what's going on, is because, oh, these are the superintendent is a district employee, and we don't discuss the termination, the reasons for why district employees are terminated. It's like, okay, I can understand if you're talking about just a run of the mill like IA like myself, but these are not just disposable employees that you can easily, call down to a staffing agency to replace. Okay. This is the leader that you voted on to provide guidance and direction to your school board, to your school district, and then and that then when you dismiss them, you have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're literally flushing hundreds of thousands of dollars down the toilet by dismissing them. And so you need to, you absolutely need to give a legitimate reason why. No, I do not accept the idea, that these are just employees like some IA, some disposable employee that doesn't matter to you. The superintendent absolutely should matter to you, and it should matter to the taxpayers and the parents who are sending their children to the school. And so, no, they absolutely should not be, treating situations with superintendents the same way that they're treating IAs. Zach, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with, my perspective is you're paying, you've spent, a lot of money in a search process to find that superintendent, or sometimes they're
Mm-hmm.
even an elected position. And so that superintendent has a contract, and you're having to pay out that contract
Mm-hmm.
when you dismiss them. And so that gets expensive, like you're saying, and you have to have a valid reason. What's the reason for dismissing the superintendent, by the board? You know, what's, is there a valid reason that you're doing that? Or is it, again, you're doing it behind closed doors? Is it a private employee issue, according to the superintendent, between them and other staff? We don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's costing hundreds of thousands of dollars per district to do
Mm-hmm.
this. And who does the district have to answer to? Who does the board have to answer to
The
with
voters.
regard to this? The
Mm-hmm.
voters who vote for the board members. So that's a reason for concern. I will put it, you're, in Jason, in your situation, this is, technically within District 1 of the Phoenix Elementary School
Right.
District.
Yeah.
And, you know, and in this specific case for your situation, this is the Emerson School, in Palm Lane about 7th Street, which they've managed to
Yeah.
put a lot of kids on the spectrum in the classrooms. And
Yeah.
that money could have been used to spend or even spent in-house,
Yeah.
to retain employees, to develop a curriculum to properly train
Yeah.
the IAs that are working in the classrooms to assist with these children on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And the
And
IAs are going through a temp company that doesn't give this specific train
yeah.
that's needed. And yet there is still oversight with Adam, who was, your
Yeah.
coworker at Emerson School that was certified, you know, with a master's, in education and such, dealing with kids, that are on the spectrum, and they managed to put them all into this one specific Phoenix,
Yeah.
Emerson school in
So
District 1.
yeah.
Um,
So let me go ahead and because you're actually getting a
and
little bit ahead
I'll let
of
you
that.
elaborate
Yeah.
further on that.
Yeah. But so just for those that's that don't know how I believe most Arizona school districts operate, handle that the autism students, because I understand that other school districts do have a similar format where all the autism students are for the Phoenix Elementary School District, which only encompasses 8 schools. Okay, that's I'm not going to get into why we need 8 different why Phoenix needs 8 separate school districts, elementary school districts. But bottom line is they're all bused to these classrooms, and so to this the ones that require the self-contained classrooms. Okay, not every autistic student. There are some students that are able to be mainstreamed. Okay, they required some support, but as far as Emerson has all of these self-contained classrooms, these are the students that need more support, that need to spend at least part of, if not the entire day, inside these classrooms. But anyway, but we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, in terms of addressing that. Well, actually, talking about how I became involved at Emerson is that I started off as an IA hired on through one of what was then 3 staffing companies. It's now 4 staffing companies. Okay, unless they've added on more or subtracted, but bottom line, 4 staffing companies, and so and then this past school year I hired on as actually last school year is when I hired on directly with the school district. Okay, and so I started working with the school. Just a sec, I need to switch tabs here. Okay, November of 2021. Okay, and at that time, February of the following year is when when Adam, who's now the master teacher, and I did this core value. So basically, he helped. Oh, shoot! I'm sorry. This is one that Sue and I did. Oh yeah, we did autism ambassadors core. Okay, that's okay. Let's hit the right buttons. Okay, so yeah, so hi, my name is Jason Bun. Yeah. Okay, so Adam is on the left, and so he's now the master teacher. So he's over all the autism self-contained classrooms, and so and so he so he helped me do this, to present the Autism Ambassadors Corps as something that's being proactive in providing ideas to actually solve the problems. Okay, so one of the biggest problems that we as a society has is that these conversations are dominated by people who are just gripers. They complain about problems that they're not even involved in solving. So they come up with these theories. Oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, have you actually worked in the system? If you want to actually figure out how to solve problems, with the system, you need to work within the system, at least for a little while, to understand what's actually going on, what the root of the problems actually are, so you can actually deal with them. Okay, and so this is who I was when I came to the to Phoenix Elementary School District, is a visionary who had ideas of how to improve the quality of life of the autism community. Okay, and so then this past summer is when Sue and I, one of my two mentors, did analyzing the educational system, and so you'll see that parts 2 and 3 pertain to Emerson. And so the first of the two videos, part A, is when I talked about all the positive things, as far as employees who are not actually in the autism classrooms. Okay, and then part B, specifically points out, one person in every classroom that in the autism self-contained classrooms who are making a difference in doing positive stuff. And so, yes, that's one of the things that Sue and I discuss, is that, yes, we need to take time to acknowledge things that are going right, that how things are actually improving. Okay, and then we start talking about some of the problems that still occur, that still needs to be addressed. Okay, and that's what the last 3 videos are. And again, we're not just complaining about problems we don't understand. Sue and I are both professionals. So Sue Gallbach is a now retired occupational therapist who retired after 40 years of working with individuals with various developmental disabilities, definitely specializing in autism after she got her diagnosis at the age of 50. So she understands what it's like to struggle without the support that kids now get today, just as I do, who didn't get my diagnosis till I was 40. Okay, so we both understand this. And so, again, this is what is what I was all about. I'm not here to start trouble. I'm here, with Sue, to build a bridge between the autism community and the particularly the autistic advocacy community and the professional educators, to enhance the system. Okay, and then afterwards, we then did the core concepts for understanding autism. That Sue and I felt need to be addressed. And again, this is at a societal level. This is not just me, excuse me. These are not issues specifically targeting Emerson. These are societal issues that need to be addressed. Okay, and so her and I address these. So basically, I came up with these points that I felt need to be brought up. She reviewed it, critiqued, edited and everything. So anyways, it's so that was my mission. My mission did not that did not originally pertain to me going and complaining about problems. Okay, I want to be part of the solution, talking about solutions, and focusing on the fact that as I elaborate in these videos, excuse me, that if you work on developing your character, your knowledge, and how you present that knowledge, you can win over 80% of the audience. Okay, 80% of the people that you interact with. Okay, the other 20%, there's not much you can do about it. But that is the philosophy that I approached Emerson with, and initially things went as I had hoped, and for the first several months, but then I'm not going to go into a blow by blow account of how everything started going wrong in March of 2022. It would have been March 2022. But bottom line is that due to staffing, changes, people, leaving, turnover, and everything, I was moved over to another classroom, and that was the first time that I actually had to work with 20 percenters. And all three of the other IAs were 20 percenters. These are people that did not care about the fact that I now have almost 50, on May 6th, I will officially have 55 years of life experience being autistic, the first 40 years of it being undiagnosed. Okay, I was mentored by Sue Gallbach, the most knowledgeable expert on autism. The co-organizer of her support group, Tara Marshall. I believe she's, if she hasn't hit 20 years of experience as a speech language pathology assistant, okay, then she's got to be getting pretty close. So the bottom line is these ladies are the most knowledgeable experts on autism, autistic specific issues that you're going to find. Okay. And on top of me going to conferences, and so bottom line is every single one of these disputes that I had over autism related matters with the students, I guarantee you any autism expert would have sided with me on, period. Why? Because I'm actually trained. Okay. The schools, on the other hand, okay, so the minimum training standard is actually set by the state of Arizona. Okay. And the only training that you're required to do would be useful if you're a resource teacher, helping students who are struggling with reading or math. Okay. And it's like, okay, great. Well, but the thing is that has not, well, yes, a lot of autistics do have struggles in those areas. I actually do struggle in reading. Okay. And so I get it. But the thing is, there are a lot of other autism specific issues that the school absolutely does not provide any training for. They do not provide any insights as to who we are, and how we think, and so here I'm trying to provide this to my coworkers, and they're not wanting to accept it. And so then all of a sudden, Jason overnight becomes the problem. Okay, because if I'm a good team player, which means that I'm to ignore all the training that I got from Sue and Tara, all the training that I got from going to conferences and listening to the most knowledgeable experts on autism, ignoring all of that and just let these ladies deal with the students the same way their parents dealt with them, then everything will be fine. I am the problem. Okay. And that's complete bull. Okay. And it goes down to, once again, a problem that you're going to find in just about every school district is when it comes right down to it, Gen Ed people don't care about spec ed. and that's the reality is, these politicians, that they might spout off of, occasional support for spec ed, but when the rubber meets the road, are you actually going to give spec ed what they need? Give the IAs that work spec ed, not just autism, but all the other students who have other developmental disabilities. Okay. Are you going to give them relevant training to understand their students so they can provide the best support possible? Okay. That is where probably, yeah, I would love if somebody would tell me one school district that demonstrates that they really care about spec ed. Seriously. But anyway, so Zach, you want to chime in about this, because technically you have a spec ed child, even though he's in a gen ed classroom.
Yes. So I have a 10-year-old who's who's having to do work and do his work and turn it in, but he actually is pulled out to a special education teacher to help him get through the workload, or at least portions of the workload, and introduce concepts in such a way that and verbalize things in such a way that he understands stuff and what needs to be done.
So this would be a resource teacher.
Right. It would be a resource teacher, but she also has 20 years in special education to assist him. And then she's got specific assistants that are familiar with my child's individual education plan, and then assist him with what he can accomplish in that. And and they're under her direction. So her her assistants are working with her and are on the same page as to what as to what my son needs in his school and what he's doing his best to accomplish. What I'm somewhat proud of is that my son's reading level has been, he's in 4th grade. His reading level was tested to being at 6th grade, and previously was tested to being at 5th grade reading level. So
your son's the opposite of me.
Right. I'm sorry. So there are certain aspects of, there are certain aspects on, for people with autism that are different, that, that aren't as pronounced. And so there is some, there is some, diversity in characteristics, but there are features that do exist, on the spectrum. Asperger's, now under the DSM-5 is one aspect of it, despite the connotations and of what the term autism proliferates within the community, within the non-autism or the neurotypical community that may not be familiar with things.
So getting back to your son,
anyways,
I'm sorry.
Getting back to my son is that he actually reads at a much higher reading level, and his verbalization skill, his verbalization is in the 94th percentile. But when it comes to, proving and doing the schoolwork and staying on task, that he's prone to distractions, and and his negative self-talk, kind of hampers him. I can't do this, but really, with a lot of one-on-one interaction, and guiding, he can do it on his own. And then and then we do it in small chunks, and he was able to do that, and I've been able to do that with some homework assignments that he's managed to bring home. And he needs, a little bit, set a timer and do
Yeah.
things in short bursts so that he can focus. Now, I've also seen that when he's building something in Lego, he does focus quite a bit. And
Yeah.
so, to an extent, but he's
Yeah.
somebody that also needs
So
breaks,
yeah.
short breaks, but still, remaining on task.
So
So
yeah. Getting back to
that's what
the
I've discovered that works with him.
yeah. Yeah. So as far as the school system, and so yes, I also helped out in the resource teacher that did fifth through eighth grade, because our school is actually pre-K through eighth grade, and so preschool through eighth grade, and so yeah, so I know that at our school the resource teacher might take out you know at most 3 students at one time. At worst, the student teacher ratio is 1.5 to 1. And there's actually times where it was 2 teachers to 1 student. And so, anyways, but so yeah, so but anyways, so yeah, so there is a lot of positive, and so I want to make sure that I understand, that everybody understands that I'm not just some malcontent griping about things, and only want to point out what's wrong with the system, because there's a lot going right, there's a lot that's getting better. However, like I said, you're wanting to say something, Zach? Looks like you're wanting to say something.
Yeah, there's a lot that's being done, that's being done well.
Yeah.
But there, at the same point, there's progress being made. But at the same point is that there is room for improvement.
Right.
That you see,
Yeah.
that you're aware of,
Yeah.
and that there isn't funding for, which is eaten up by
Yeah.
superintendent golden parachutes.
Mhm.
But that's the
Amongst
point.
other things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah, and then also the day before school pep rally, in which for Phoenix Elementary School, what they do is they get everybody on a bus, on buses, and they're all bused to the Celebrity Theater, and then everybody is bused back. So basically 3.5 hours, which the teachers are on the clock, every single district employee, including the food service staff, and every single employee is there. They're paying employees 3.5 hours of salary to attend a maybe hour and a half to 2 hour long pep rally. Okay, and so conservatively, that's probably a minimum of $250,000 that they waste the day before school starts. And again, that's a conservative figure. I would love to see the actual receipts on that. Gas wasted, driving driving us all to and from that center. And it's like and then they turn around and say, oh, we can't afford to pay for training for our IAs because it's not in the budget. You waste a minimum of $250,000 the day before school even starts on this stupid pep rally. You waste 3.5 hours that could be used to provide relevant IA training to the IAs who who are there at the start of school. Okay, and so when they tell me that, oh, sorry, it's not in the budget, it's like, and yeah, and so basically, with all these problems, I eventually was forced out of the autism rooms, because I was this horrible co-worker that can't get along with my co-workers. And so that's the reason why I started working first with the resource teacher. Okay. And so then I started doing stuff like listening to this autistic middle schooler who felt that he was being targeted because he has to follow the rules when all of his classmates are allowed to treat the teacher like she's trash. Okay. And and it's not the majority. Again, the 80-20 principle. Yeah, 80% of the kids that go there probably do want to learn. Okay. And it's the 20% that don't care about school. And this leads into how this another aspect, as far as how this impacts the gen ed students, is the fact that they are literally being deprived of the right to an education by students who are literally allowed to bully their teachers. Okay. And seriously, there are classrooms where the teacher literally wastes half the classroom getting the students to quiet down enough so she can actually talk. Literally, half the class time is wasted. Why? Because the so-called discipline policy, these referrals where you go to, and I forget what his title is, but basically, yeah, no, um, I guess it's their version of a disciplinarian or whatever his title is, but basically, it's like, okay, let's remember what the school expectations are. And so, are you going to follow? Yes, I'm going to follow. And then they come back to the classroom laughing at how stupid the whole thing is. Okay. Oh, we don't want to suspend students because, that's learning time that's lost, that they're not going to get back. So because we won't suspend this one student, we waste half the learning time for the entire class because the teacher can't actually teach because they won't suspend these students who absolutely don't respect the teachers, who don't want to give even the minimum amount of cooperation necessary so the teacher can actually teach. And so you want to chime in on that, Zach?
Um, yeah, I'll just say, with my son, he's got a bit of a temper, and
Mm-hmm.
he's having to learn to kind of rein it in
Right.
recently. But they've, he's been suspended from school a couple of days,
Mm-hmm.
this year, but he's also learned that yeah, that's not, adequate behavior. That's not a constructive
Right.
way of dealing with things. And and that, sometimes that is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And and the thing is that they're not coming down hard enough in those specific situations at in those situations that you experience at the school, that there should be some level of improvement. But that
Mm-hmm.
also would mean, yeah, that you want to bring parents into the loop and have them understand and bring them into the loop on what's going on, so that it is, so you can, so there is no, that there is a clear dialogue and understanding, and an opportunity for parents to explain, to the teachers that you might want to deal with this way, or tell them to do this. That might help them work out with it.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, again, other neurotypical kids can be bullies. They cannot be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
Well, there's
and
one particular student who in his classroom who has been targeting autistics for bullying. Not only has he been bullied, another classmate, and he's also, this boy has I was informed by one of the IAs over in the self-contained classrooms that this boy also bullied one of their students. Okay, and oh, we have zero tolerance from bullying. Really? When is this? When are you actually going to implement this zero tolerance for bullying? And yeah, I know you want to say something, but right now, because here's the thing, like I said, your son's been suspended. Okay, so the boy that I first started describing, okay, yes, he has been asked to step outside the room because he has gotten triggered. But every single one of those times that I've seen him being triggered, the classroom was in a state of chaos because of these students. Okay. So he literally, from my perspective, got in trouble because of how he reacted to the chaotic situation created by his classmates who are not required to follow the rules. No, meanwhile, here we are. We're supposed to be, staying or make sure that he, follows all the rules because we're going to make him normal. Okay, and again, there's so much more to this story that really upsets me, but it definitely shows a blatant double standard. And I would even go as far as say discrimination, that only the autistic student is required to follow rules. Okay. The autistic student is hounded into following the rules while his classmates are terrorizing the teacher. Maybe that's a little hyperbole, but showing absolute disrespect, causing chaos, which is what's triggering his behaviors in the first place. But just blame the autistic. Go ahead, Zach.
No, no. For a teacher that it recognizes what's going on, that's been properly trained, they would go and nab the bully and say, no, you're, and make a referral to him, have him send him to the principal, suspend him for 2 days because he deliberately triggered, and stand up and advocate for the autistic that has the issue that was following the rules.
Yeah, let me clarify, the one specific situation I have in my head. Yeah, she did not write him up. She knew what happened, and she just wanted him, to step outside to calm down. But yeah, so he wasn't in trouble, but the point is, he had to leave the classroom because of his inappropriate behavior. And so I discussed this with the teacher, and yes, she saw what was happening. The problem is when so many kids are just being absolutely disruptive. It's not just one kid. When it's 20% of your classroom showing you absolutely no respect whatsoever, it's hard for her to target that one child when there's other children also doing things to trigger. So
right, she has to address the group of that 20%, and if she had enough proper training, they wouldn't get away with any of that. And that's
it's not an issue of training.
It's not fair.
Yeah, it's not an issue of training.
It's not necessarily
okay. It's not an issue of training. It's an issue that the school does not have the backs of their teachers in these conflicts. Okay, because yes, like I said, fine, right? Write a referral, send them to this guy that's supposed to remind them what the expectations are, and which is a big joke. Okay, and that's the whole thing. The problem isn't her training. The problem is she's a paper tiger, and the school district policies have made her a paper tiger because the fact that they will not implement meaningful consequences on these children who are destroying the educational environment. I could actually make a case that they are committing felonies because they are disrupting a educational establishment. If you pull a fire alarm, okay, that's a felony. You're disrupting educational establishment. Well, these kids are doing basically the same thing every single day. They are making it impossible for the teachers to teach. So technically, I can make the case that these kids are committing felonies. And so maybe that's a little hyperbole. Maybe that might not be technically in line with the law, but I could definitely make that case. So,
right. I mean,
so
if anything, have, if it's possible, have, a colleague, or, I don't know how much, how much, time the principal has, to come in, but just literally go in and observe and see the situation. But but when the principal comes in, is that going to change the behavior of the
yeah,
kids, that 20%
yeah.
that are in there? And
Oh,
so, I mean, I'm just thinking of a possible solution, or,
yeah.
another
Well,
colleague teacher to witness, to verify
yeah,
what they're observing,
yeah,
and, and witness what's going on.
yeah,
And then that, with their testimony and them to the principal, they can detail what the issue is, and more, and in a more collaborative manner in that respect, would be a possible solution to
yeah.
narrowing things down, um,
Well, that they
with some,
actually have, yeah,
with another set of eyes.
yeah. Well, actually, they've already had multiple set of eyes. That the year before, last school year, 3 teachers quit that classroom because the kids were so out of control that they literally quit their jobs. Okay, it is that exact same class, that 3 teachers. So and so yeah, that's how bad that class is. So yeah, so it's not that, oh, this teacher isn't properly trained. It's that the school district does not provide the teachers with necessary backup in the form of meaningful consequences in order to to solve, to put an end to this behavior. So,
Right.
but anyway, so as far as how things finally unraveled, with me there, is that on November 1st, what one of I overheard some of the IAs, in the autism classroom, talking about how the head of the district lunch, whatever her title is, I actually tried looking up on the district board, and I can't actually figure out which one of them is in charge, because they all have these fancy titles. There's like 2 or 3 people that have fancy titles that could suggest that they're the one in charge. But anyways, yeah, so it's really confusing who actually made the decision. But basically, the autistic students were not allowed to take their lunches back to the classroom because they had to eat in the cafeteria. Well, the problem is the cafeteria causes a lot of sensory issues for autistics, and so they have to eat in their classroom. Okay, and so I went ahead and I drew up the email. Yeah, and so then the next day, before I sent it off, I had one of the IAs that I that was there when these dictates were handed down to them, to read the email, make sure it's 100% accurate. And I sent the email to everybody in the district, advising them that this is an ADA violation, and so and it needs to be addressed. Okay, 2 days later, okay, there's an incident on the playground where, again, these same students I just talked about, where they treat their teachers like trash. Well, guess what? They also treat the playground attendants like trash as well. Okay, so it's time to go inside. They simply ignore us and keep playing, what they're playing, like we're not even there. Okay, and so there's this group of boys playing football. So what I did is I ran up behind one of them, to get the football away from them. And so basically, if anybody remembers Lawrence Taylor and the way he would swipe at the ball, because he's being blocked, so so he can't actually sack the quarterback, but he can still swipe at the ball, knock the ball out. That's basically what I did. Okay, and yes, I did make inadvertent physical contact with the boy, but I did not tackle him. And basically, the boy flat out lied, claimed that I tackled him, and the school district was all for believing anything that he and his friends, who are also destroying the ability of their classmates to be able to teach. Okay, and and here's the whole thing: there are 4 playground attendants. Where are the other 3? Did they see anything? I know one of them did. One of them was 100 feet away, from the incident at the time. Okay, and so it's so if I actually did what I was accused of doing, she should have immediately come over, ordered me off that boy, okay, and then immediately report me to the principal. Okay, so either she was negligent in her duty of protecting these students from an allegedly out of control staff member, or the children are liars that it didn't happen. And this playground attendant can testify to the fact, but they never asked the other playground attendants what they saw. Okay, and so one of the things I'm smart enough to do is whenever I see, well, whenever I have to go and talk to um to let's see here. Well, whenever I have to go and talk to HR, well, and that this isn't the first time, the first company that I've stood up, that I made these stands, I record the conversations, okay? And so if you look at this list of videos, okay, so here, okay, so this is actually a phone call, that I recorded. This is the only one which I did not state in advance that I was recording, because I forgot to. I intended to, but by that time I had already made very clear that anytime that there's a situation, an HR related situation, I'm recording the conversation. Okay, and so Mr. Lodato, the principal, is like, oh yeah, as far as the situation with with the with the ADA violations, that was just a misunderstanding. And he literally threw a Mexican immigrant under the bus, claiming that is because she didn't understand things. Well, here's the thing. She's been in America long enough to where she's she's about as fluent as she's going to get. She understood everything. Okay. Her English isn't the problem. And oh, by the way, she wasn't the one that told me what happened. Okay. The one that told me that gave me all the information was a different IA. Okay. And so bottom line is he literally threw a Mexican under the bus to cover up for the fact that they did violate the ADA. As far as I know, she didn't get in trouble because, again, it's just an honest mistake and all that other nonsense. And no, that this is not on the IAs. This is on the head of the district's food whatever department. Okay, who rarely, if ever, sets foot on a school campus and therefore doesn't know squat about the needs of the schools. Okay, and so then it's so it's so basically so okay so basically yeah it so that this okay, so the students should not be allowed to treat their teachers like they're garbage. Okay, that is my initial response to the allegations that the kids made. And then then how the district responded to that video. Okay, and then here my meeting with Jeb Bowman, he's assistant superintendent of HR, and that's when I brought up the fact that there was this witness. Okay, and it became very clear he had no idea that there was another staff member. there were actually 3 other staff members. He had no idea about this. Okay. And then, and also it made very clear that this meeting was supposed to be in advance of me being able to, to have a proper hearing where I could lay out my entire case in order to exonerate myself. Okay. This meeting was literally promised in this video as well as the next video, which was I guess you might call it an arbitration meeting, or yeah, you'd have to watch video to see how they classify it. But basically, yeah, they had this third party come in, to give their recommendation, and of course, because the district paid her, for her recommendation, she ruled, no, she definitely ruled in favor of the school. But again, it's very clear from both of these videos that I was supposed to be given a chance to have a meeting where I could present my case in order to prove that I was not guilty of the allegations. And so, bottom line is that they ultimately, decided to terminate my employment because of the fact that, for things that would never have happened had I not been accused, is basically, contacting my coworkers, and asking for their support. Because again, I'm not the only one having problems, and so this was, yes, this was technically a violation of my my leave of absence, or my suspension. And it's like, yes, no, yes, I knew exactly what was going on, but the thing is, this is much bigger than me. Okay. Especially when you're talking about the situation, the gen ed classrooms, you know, the situation is completely out of control. And yes, district policy needs to be challenged. Okay. District policy needs to be changed. And then the other thing is that I violated the prohibition from laying my hands on a student, because I touched another student, even though I'd been coached not to do that. It's like, that was inadvertent physical contact. I did not deliberately grab that student. It was inadvertent, but facts don't matter. They needed justification in order to run me out of there because why? Because I was advocating on behalf of my fellow autistics. Okay. I was bringing to the district's attention that they were violating the ADA rights of the autism students. Okay. And that ultimately, is the real reason why I was fired. And so in conclusion, what needs to happen is 3 of these governing board members are up for re-election. One of them isn't actually running because he says he's tired of all the politics. Okay, so when I tell you that all this stuff is political, and you say, "Oh, you're crazy," and everything. No, again, if you go back to that this one right here, that this one. Okay. Yeah. Well, one of the governing board members, Reginald Carleo, I think his name's pronounced. If you read down this article, yeah, he's tired of politics. This is all political. He said it straight up. Okay. That this is being, that's as far as the termination of the superintendent was all political, and he's tired of the politics. But bottom line is, there is somebody that's running for his seat instead. And when you consider the fact that 2 years ago, everybody ran unopposed, that I get the idea that they've got this buddy system set up to where they never are going to be held accountable, have their seats challenged, because nobody cares to run against them. Nobody cares, and that's what needs to change. Okay. We need 3 governing board members. Well, we need 3 candidates to replace these governing board members. Okay. You can register right now through the county recorder's office, Maricopa County Recorder's Office. in order to announce your candidacy, and you can start collecting signatures in June, and then you have to turn them in by July 8th. You'd get all the details, but bottom line is we need to throw these governing board members out and replace them with people that are going to answer to the voters, who are going to do the will of the voters, of the parents. Okay. And not just for Phoenix Elementary School District, every single school district that has terminated their superintendent early for reasons that they won't disclose, every one of them needs to be voted out of office, because they have literally, flushed hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars. Well, you consider that's a half a dozen school districts have done this. We're talking about maybe as much as $2 million of taxpayers' money being flushed down the toilet for reasons that aren't being disclosed. That is not acceptable. Okay, so whether or not you're sympathetic to to the cause of the autistics, whether or not you want your children to actually be able to learn at school, or this blatant act of corruption, whatever reason you have, we need to get these first three out of office, because there's 5 governing board members, so we get an automatic majority. I'm not allowed to run because I actually live in the Roosevelt School District boundary, so I'm not allowed to run. Okay, but that's what we need to do. We need to get these governing board members out of office and have them replaced with people that understand that they're there to do the will of the parents first, the taxpayers second. So, Zach, you want to make any final comments?
Well, and you got to get, I think teachers that are on the front line, need to be, at least in conjunction with parents, they both need to be on the same page and collaborating together to put these changes, and
Right.
put better board members into perspective. But there's also there's also the fact that you can gather witness testimony or evidence to defend yourself, because that violated your so-called suspension, which is actually a violation of a due process of law when it comes to like court. And so,
Well,
and
actually,
if anything,
yeah. Well, I actually saw this video of this labor law attorney. He actually, practices in California, but one of the things that he explained is how they get out of that is they, when you're signing all that, hire on paperwork, in there is a little thing which you literally sign away your rights, okay, to be able to do that, and agree that if there is a conflict, that it is decided through arbitration. And who pays the arbitrator? The school district. And as this guy explained, that if they want to get more, if they ever rule in favor of the plaintiff, of the employee, then they're going to get blacklisted. Okay, so the next time some company is looking for an arbitrator, that they're going to look at their record like, oh, wait a minute, you ruled in favor of the employee. Oh no, we don't want you. We want somebody that's going to rule in our favor. Okay. And so that's part of the sham that this guy explained, and so, yeah. So,
that's stacking the deck.
Yeah. Rigging the game. Yes. And so, yeah. So everything you're saying, yeah, in theory, that's the way it should be. But that's the thing, is these slick HR people, put these things. And I do recall, during my orientation training, that them talking about arbitration. I don't remember signing any paperwork that gave away my right, but it's most likely that it is in there, and that if I was to sue, it's like, oh no, he gave away his right. See, it's right on this paper here. So yeah. So the idea that I'm going to go and sue them, no. Okay. However, who hasn't signed away their rights? The parents. Okay. And so I would propose that these children have a constitutional right to an education, and these rights are being violated by a district policy that allows the students to be so out of control that excuse me, that the teachers can't teach. Okay. And so that is actually grounds for a lawsuit. Okay. And then furthermore, what else can the teachers do is sign a statement, sign a little petition that says that if all three of these governing board members aren't thrown out of office in November, they will resign their teaching positions at the end of the school year. Okay. This is, because again, the teachers are probably required to sign away their rights, to be able to actually sue for a hostile work environment, because that's literally what it is. Well, the so-called discipline policy creates a hostile work environment for the teachers, and a hostile learning environment for the students. Okay. So anyways, but have anything more you want to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Do
So
you have anything
anyways,
more to say?
okay, so yeah, I tried to keep this under a half hour, which, yeah, obviously we went significantly over, but it's because there are a lot of issues involved in this. And so the next issue the next video that Zach and I are going to be doing is going to be directed specifically to the media, because a few weeks ago, they came out with this statistic that students with disabilities are more likely to be to be suspended, to get in trouble at school. And it's like, oh, isn't this terrible? Isn't this terrible? So basically, I'm going to tell you why that they're having these issues. And again, like I said, with this, this middle schooler who is literally who feels like he's being targeted, is being given a double standard. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay. The autistic students have every right to be ticked off at the system. And so we're going to be explaining to the school district or to the media, why that these kids are having these issues. And it's not the issues that, that the people that they talk to are discussing. These are the issues that we discuss in our meetings. Okay. That the media doesn't come and listen to. Okay. And then the final video that hopefully we're going to be doing in 2 weeks, okay, is actually a microanalyzation of excuse me, of Mr. Terry. Okay, Mr. Terry is a high school teacher high school history teacher up in Minnesota, and he has his own YouTube channel where he talks about history. And so he has done his own video on how to fix public education. Okay, and I've watched it, and I agree with everything he says. And so I'm wanting us, Zach and I, to flesh it out. But Zach, give Zach a couple of weeks to watch it, think about it, and be ready. So hopefully that'll be in 2 weeks. Okay, and so until then, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this video because it has actually gone much longer than I actually intended. So until next time, have a nice day.